Alright, time to get back to the bench. This time around I'm going to be working on a pair of exploration sets, starting with the Star Trek Exploration set, recently reissued by Round 2, and the, well, not so recently is in the last couple of years, and the Ion Nebulizer and Vox Communicator set from Pegasus models from Galaxy Quest. The Star Trek Exploration set represents arguably some of the worst plastic that AMT ever put together. The phaser was designed, the props are all at about 1/3 scale, but the biggest problem I've got with it, with this kit at least, is the proportions on the communicator. As you can see, this thing is almost square. It should actually be about that long. And then it'd almost be the right scale. But I'm not going to deal with the proportions in the kit. I'm going to deal with, what we've got in the box. I have taken the liberty of stripping the chrome off the chrome pieces. But other than that, this thing's going to be mostly done. These are both going to be pretty much out of the box builds. With the Ion Nebulizer and Vox Communicator, I apologize for the mess here. Half the parts came off the sprue. These are actually designed more as a 1-to-1 off the props. So these are actually closer to what you or I would use with our real hands. That's your gun handle. You got clear inserts. It is possible to light, especially the nebulizer, but I'm probably not going to. But those being said, I'm probably going to get started here. Alright, at this stage of the game, basic construction on the Star Trek portion is done. Did some seam work on the phaser, cleaned it up mostly. Not crazy about the lack of locator pins, but we'll deal with it. It's basically awaiting paint now. The communicator has its functioning lid, and like the phaser is awaiting paint. It actually had the fewest seams to really deal with because the only real seam is the one around the perimeter of the body. The tricorder, as you can see, functions. Well, everything that should move moves. I won't call it functioning. But, as you can see by the presence of the red Bondo, I had a lot of filling to do. I've gotten it mostly smooth now though, so it also is awaiting paint. Next up, we'll start the Galaxy Quest versions. Was in my local party/costume shop today and picked up one of the phasers from the newer movies to go ahead and add to my exploration sets. This one, I'm going to make a couple of mods. I'll open up the barrels, and of course I'm going to paint it. But other than that, the shape actually looks fairly decent, so we'll go from there. Alright, at this point, all the paint's on, sealer coats are on. I'm going to call this build done. Start off with the classic Star Trek Exploration set. The phaser's body was sprayed in with the same blue I used for Apollo's Viper many moons ago. All the other details were hand painted on, except for the decal for the power meter. all in all, it's fairly its proportions are a little off, and of course, you know, it's way too small. But for what it is, it turned out pretty well. Next up, we have what's arguably the most disappointing part of this set, namely the communicator. While the lid is hinged, the proportions of the case, it's too short, and the lid is hinged all kinds of wrong. Kirk could never be able to get this one to flip all the way over like he used to on the series. But, painted up, turned out fairly decent. The tricorder is probably the best piece of the whole set. I did go ahead and close the disc drawer, for lack of a better term, but I've got the decals in for the display. The speaker here and on the communicator are given a black wash, and of course I've got a strap in place for the tricorder, and it will still open and close. Next up, we move up into the Galaxy Quest versions. The Vox communicator is an oddball design. Of course, I think it's designed to look like a sci-fi prop. There is it actually worked. There's a button on the back that triggers a spring-loaded catch here, and of course the mouthpiece is spring-loaded. In both of these cases, I only did a minimum of actual detail work, if you will. Both were left pretty much were left in the plastic color of the plastic they were molded in. The ion nebulizer, I did go in and back paint the inserts with both glow-in-the-dark paint and then white to make them kind of pop. The handle inserts were painted in with black, as were the little detail recesses. Last but not least, the modern Star Trek phaser, represented in this case by a relatively inexpensive costume prop that's been completely repainted from the orange and white that it was. All in all, I'm very happy with how these turned out, especially considering the low expectations I had over here. And it was kind of fun to break up the work at the bench. As is my usual wont, I'll stick some stills at the end of this, mostly just showing each individual piece, and I'll thank you all for watching.